I guess, Tanner, if you want to take it, we'll go through as you put together this really pretty deck and our hosting. So
you got it. All right, quick agenda here. Just welcome all you guys with some introductions, some high-level intros to both of our companies and what we do. This is, I guess, the third one of these we put together, so many of you may already know, but for those that aren't. And then we'll move into tactics to grow your business, kind of the meat of this webinar. So Modernize and Leap kind of presenting in and around their specific areas of expertise. We'll follow that up with some Q&A and try to answer any questions you guys have about any of the tactics presented or questions that those tactics make you think of. And we'll finish up with a bonus for all you guys that stick around to the end in terms of promotions from both presenters.
Yep. Well, cool.
Quick introduction. So I'm Tanner, Senior Director of B2B Marketing here at Modernize, which means marketing to the contractor. You know, Modernize is the largest privately held home services lead generation company in the country. We're focused on 4 core trades: roofing, HVAC, solar, and windows. Been around for 15 years. And we are really focused on delivering high quality leads and providing great account management service to our customers. And we're also focused on partnering with companies that add a lot of value to our clients and our own product, which is why we've partnered with Leap.
Cool. Thanks, Tanner. So in a nutshell, VP of Marketing and Partnerships, like Tanner's role, really my job is to get the word out for Leap. It's recognizing who we are and what we do, and then also partnering with organizations like Modernize. We partner with a number of people, manufacturers, lenders, et cetera, but really making sure that we have strategic partnerships with every core function of your business, so that literally anyone that uses the tool like Leap for their digital sales, contracts, estimates, proposals. We have integrations with financing, et cetera, secure payment capture for all of you who are still writing your credit cards down on paper. Eek. And then on top of that, we even have digital documents through our app all the way through the production line. So really, when you look at why Modernize and Leap work so well together, obviously when you're bringing good leads into your system, you got to make sure that that experience continues throughout, and we'll touch on a lot of that in this presentation today. So without further ado, again, we can go into a lot more detail on this. If you guys aren't familiar with us, I highly recommend take a little bit of time out of your day and just do a little homework. It's pretty cool. It's a game changer.
Great. Thanks, James. Yeah, we'll move right into the tactics. So hopefully why you guys came to the webinar today. And we'll kick it off with tactic number 1. We are digital marketing company, so we've got a big focus on kind of all things digital, and our first bit of advice would be to improve your web presence. Everyone at this day and age knows to have a website. Having a website is kind of a far cry from having a website that really optimizes the traffic you're able to drive to it. So there are a ton of options out there for the homeowner. They're doing a decent amount of research online before they ever reach out. And your website is really your first touch point and your best way to make that initial first impression. So some keys here are kind of having a really strong About Us page and a strong value proposition on that About Us page and throughout the rest of the website that makes it really clear to the customer like why they should work with you. So it's hard to be all things to all people. But you need to figure out kind of what is your marketing angle here, right? Are you going to be the lowest cost provider? Are you going to do the best work? Do you have kind of the deepest roots in the community, longest in business, best customer service? Whatever it is, I would say make that clear and consistent across the website. And then just kind of do the blocking and tackling right. So things that often get overlooked, making sure kind of the hours that you're open and going to be able to respond to communications are up to date, so customers don't have to guess. Like if I call these guys, are they even going to pick up? If I go by their storefront, are they even going to be there? Really clear call to actions, right? So don't leave the homeowner guessing as to what they should do next on the site. And then a big one, especially as higher and higher percentage of web traffic is on people's phones, you have to have your website be mobile responsive. And ideally, it's really mobile design first, right? You've got a website that someone has designed to the specs of mobile dimensions, as opposed to thinking everyone's going to be popping open a huge desktop to look at it and then rearranging things to fit mobile. Really designed with mobile in mind.
Yeah, and one of the things that I will say to you guys on this slide, when we talk about web presence, some of these slides, as you see them today, when you first look at them, they're going to come across as like, oh yeah, thanks Captain Obvious for putting some of this stuff out. But the thing you really want to note is it's not just am I doing this, it's am I doing it to the best that I can. Oftentimes there are ways where you have an About Us section, you have a mobile responsive website, you have those call to actions. But the other thing to take a look at is, are they in a place where they're absolutely going to increase conversions to the best of their ability? The good thing is you can lean on us as our customers or even prospective customers, and we're more than happy to go through and get an extra set of eyes on some of this stuff. So if you have questions, by all means, lean on us and ask some of these. Hey, does this feel right? What are some of your other customers doing, et cetera? We're always happy to jump in. The only other bullets I'll say that we can add to this, that you should put a little note to self in your notes if that's what you guys are doing for this webinar, is really take a look at, is my website really setting the standard and setting the expectations for what that person's going to expect when they come knock on my door to run that appointment? You got to ask yourself, like, do they know what they're getting into? Do they know how that person's going to come out and lay the foundation for, here's your estimate, here's your proposal, we're going to try and get the business that day? Obviously, you're not going to go to too much of a granular detail, but if you're not giving them an expectation of what's going to happen, oftentimes it feels like a bait and switch, and that's going to murder your conversions.
Thanks, James. Tactic number 2, kind of always highlighting your incentives or promotions. Again, going back to what you just talked about in the last slide, it may seem obvious that you should have incentives or promotions, but I can't tell you how many times contractors, our customers, have them. You go to their website, they're nowhere to be found. They're not in their ads, they're not in their emails. And so you're losing a large part of the value of having the promotion, which is to drive initial interest, to get people to your website, to get people to fill out the form. If you don't tell them about it in your ads, your flyers, however it is that you're doing your outreach, and then also have it reiterated on the landing page that they hit on your site, right? And so, as noted here, homeowners aren't always looking for the cheapest product. You want to craft these promotions and incentives that make them feel like they're getting the most value, the best deal, right? And once you've got to make sure that you're kind of putting them out through all your marketing channels and on your site to improve conversion rate. Anything else to add here, James?
Yeah, and again, with some of the stuff with incentive and promotions, it's also labeling yourself, like kind of we did on the other side. It's, I am the best at this. There's plenty of value propositions that you're going to throw out there aside from just monetary value. There's a lot of cool things that you can layer into your sites, layer into your emails, layer into your print, whatever it is, even traditional marketing like radio and TV. You can do a ton of that stuff. Just have it be something that they can compare against your competitors. All right? If you truly know you're the best at something, make it known. Be proud about it.
Tactic number 3, something that contractors and really all SMBs often forget, is to ask for testimonials from customers after jobs, right? So again, going back to your website being one of many that the modern homeowner, which is getting more and more skewed towards Gen X and millennials, will view on the web as they are doing their research as to who they want to do their job. You have to make that website and by extension, your business stand out as one that is trustworthy. And the best way to do that is probably through some social proof, right? And so, time and time again, we see at work that contractors who put real customer testimonials on their site get higher conversion rates on those landing pages than people who have none, right? There's no social proof there. You're trusting this business to come into your house, likely paying them thousands of dollars, maybe working in your house for an extended period of time. It's good to know that other people in your community have used them before, have good things to say about them. If you can go the extra step and actually get people, your customers, who are willing to talk to prospects, that's a huge bonus, right? If you can give them a referral and say like, hey, Jim loved us, you can talk to him about the work we did. That'll kind of help in the sales process. But as far as getting those leads at the top of the funnel, having them on the website is really irreplaceable.
I will also say, give your reps the tools in the field to capture some of that stuff on spot. There's a lot of opportunity, especially when you start using things like digital forms, to have somebody go in and say, hey, what was your experience today? Or, if I am going to be sending that person out a digital copy of their estimate or proposal, or, here's your price that's guaranteed for a year, even your contract, make sure that you bake in there the links to do that immediately. You can also dial that into incentives. If somebody wants to have something, if you also want to mitigate things like cancellation during that right of rescission period, engage them with little touch points throughout. It's a great way to make it stick. You can also phrase it as, hey, we always want to get better. We know there are areas to improve on. What are the main things that you want to do to make this easier should you buy home improvement again in the future? That a lot of that goes back to even how you knock on the door. Lay that foundation for these customer testimonials at the beginning of the actual interaction through like surveys. Hey, I'm going to do a 15-point or a 100-point survey around your home. Again, this is just something we do for every customer, but it's our goal to have the best experience possible. And if we don't, great, I'm also going to give you a survey so I can learn from any of the mistakes that I may hopefully not make. But have the ability to capture all that data so that you can come back as a business owner and make those key tweaks in 2020. If you don't have data, it's really difficult to know what's going on in the home.
Tactic 4, tracking and managing where your homeowners are in your sales funnel, right? And so time and again, we see that our most successful customers are using a CRM to store, track, and manage their data, right? And this helps them do a couple of things. One, it helps them know kind of where in the sales cycle any given prospect, being a homeowner, is, right? And knowing where they are just helps you know what you're supposed to do next. It helps you like never have long lags in communication with the homeowner, and helps you like never do the wrong thing with the homeowner, right? This coming Wednesday, this is when we're supposed to be having kind of our second touch with them. This time to invoice these guys. So you can increase close rate, and then kind of decrease time to installation, payment, all those things, if you've got a really clear picture of where every single record stands in terms of the stage of your sales process. It also really builds confidence in the homeowner and improves your close rate if you are sending them communications that are crafted around each stage of that sales process, right? So you can imagine that your email or text outreach to the homeowner is different as soon as they submit a lead form as compared to once they've talked to someone in your office on the phone, once someone's been out to their house to do kind of the initial estimate, and then follow up after that fact. You haven't closed the deal yet, you've sent out a quote. How do you communicate with them effectively to get as high a percent of those quotes closed the deal as possible? And then kind of tying back to the last slide, how do you get or how do you know when to send out the testimonial ask and making sure you do that at the right time and consistently.
Exactly. The data is also going to tell you where to interject, where you need to refine it, etc. One of the things I always tell anyone of, and this goes in both marketing and sales, it's you want to understand exactly where the bottleneck is in your business. Data will always point you to exactly where to look. It's not going to tell you the answer every single time, but typically we liken it to like an X on a treasure map. That's where the treasure is, but you're going to have to dig right at that point. So again, any of this tracking within your CRM, and again, both Leap and Modernize work very closely with various CRM providers. You really should know what those best practices are to truly understand, how you can maximize your system. And if you have questions, great, ask. Like, by all means, again, we really focus heavily on these strategic partnerships to give you guys the tools you need to level up business. So again, always here to help.
Thanks, James. Moving over to tactic 5. I kind of mentioned it on the last slide as a teaser, but if you aren't already, you need to incorporate texting into your follow-up process, right? So as I mentioned before, homeowners are becoming more and more generation of people who are super focused on communicating on their phones, but particularly through nonverbal communication, right? So text. You can email and call people all you want. A lot of them will not pick up those phone calls if they don't recognize the phone number. They may have a voicemail box that is full. They may just never check their voicemail. I was talking to James before this webinar, and he brought up the question that how often or what percentage of your text do you not read, do you not open? And for me, it's 0. I read every single thing.
Yeah, if everyone, again, pull out your phone and look at your phone. I guarantee you, as all business owners that are likely on this webinar today, and I'll do it exactly the same time as you guys. If I look in my unread emails, right now I have a grand total of 37 unread emails in my inbox. My text, inbox 0. Absolutely. The second a text hits, it implies a certain level of familiarity. It also implies a certain level of understanding of what that person is, what they want, why they're there. It's a privilege to be in that inbox. Your email is anonymous. Everyone is so conditioned because of all the spam and crap everyone receives day in and day out. I can delete it and not feel anything at all. But if someone sends me a text, it's because they have my number and there was established business. The other thing to note is there's massive rules and regulations around that. So if you are getting into the texting space, just make sure you also check with your legal teams to have the right disclosures on any of your lead capture forms, on any of your contracts, to make it so that you can legally incorporate texting. It's amazing as a tool, but if you don't do it right, it's incredibly dangerous as a tool because the fines are huge. So by all means, if you're going to do that, and we've done it at Leap and it works amazing. I've done it in a number of other businesses as well. Make sure that you have the right disclosures in order to be able to text somebody. It's called TCPA compliance. So again, note to self, absolutely look into that if that's the route you're going to go. It is a route you should go, but do it right. Don't do it fast. Don't do it dirty.
And there are solutions kind of targeted at the contractor for texting that will help you, get into this space more quickly, cleanly, and with less effort. And if any of you guys knows, you can reach out to either of us, and we can probably put you in touch.
Yeah, Leap actually has a number of partners that we work with that are really good at texting, specifically in this space, and they know it like the back of their hand.
Nice. Tactic 6, another one that is kind of James mentioned at the top. You may think, oh, yeah, duh. Training your sales reps on rebuttals and rejection handling. You probably do this when you first hire a new sales rep. A bigger question for me would be, are you doing ongoing training with those guys to make sure that they're kind of staying at the top of their game, and that you're also getting line of sight into the data they're getting back from those in-home meetings? Are you going through your CRM to see kind of what the most common objections are that are costing you deals, and refining your rebuttals to, you know, get a better close rate over those objections? And then are you kind of arming your sales team with, you know, the assets they need to really, you know, be most effective, to almost give them a cheat sheet, right? An unfair advantage against the homeowner. If you've been in business, you know, for a long time, then you should have kind of the data on what's working and what's not working. And you should always try to, you know, start those new reps and out with those advantages, and ensure that your more seasoned ones haven't developed any bad habits. So it's all about, I think, you know, coming up with the best battle card, the best cheat sheet, and then ensuring that that your sales reps really have that down and don't lose their way with it.
The other thing, you guys, is we work with a lot of, you know, we've got nearly 1,000 customers using Leap in some way, shape, or form. And one of the best things I've ever seen, and these guys have ridiculously high close rates when they go out in the field, plus they're selling in their markets probably 30% more expensive than any of their direct competitors, yet they absolutely blow them out of the water every time. One of the things that they adopted as an incredible sales tactic is in their training rooms, in their office, they don't train, you know, in a chair. They don't train at a desk. They don't train at a conference table. They set up a mock living room, because where do 99% of these deals take place? It's at the kitchen table with Mr. and Mrs. Jones, or whatever it might be. You have to be able to be comfortable in the environment in which you're going to be selling. And if you're not there and you don't have the distractions and you don't have some of these other things going on around you, oftentimes the sales rep is going to get a little flustered, or they're going to forget those rebuttals that you teach them. They're going to, you know, misplace their cheat sheet. They're going to have a lot of, call it, factors against them for their negotiation process. If you practice what's going to happen live in the field using something like a, you know, even like a dining room table, it's as simple as going to pick one up at, like, you know, wherever. Pick it up on Craigslist if you really don't want to be expensive with it. But the long and the short of it is, get them comfortable in the environment in which they're going to be selling, and they're going to be ready for anything and everything they're going to face in the field. Also, know your competitors. So we're good.
Thanks, James. All right, tactic number 7. I would say, you know, one of the keys for success in 2020, well, perhaps self-servingly, is scaling your digital marketing, right? And so you can quickly scale your footprint in the digital marketing space by partnering with Modernize or any other company that's really specialized in digital lead generation. Or, you know, you can try to kind of scale that yourself. If you're already doing it at an expert level, that may be an option. Although if you're already doing it at expert level, you may have a hard time kind of making more big gains in 2020. If you're not already doing it at an expert level, you can become an expert, but you may spend a lot of time and money kind of figure out the different platforms that you would have to use, whether they be paid ads, Google, or social platforms, or trying to come up with the right content and technical SEO strategy to get that first page ranking on Google. And again, so you can kind of go that route, or, you know, as we might recommend, do something more plug and play and test out that scaling with a partner who does this for a living.
Yep. All I got to say is I agree. It's super important, you guys. You got to make sure you have a diverse pipeline.
Right. And then we'll kind of leave you with a quick touch on Modernize. You know, we're just doing digital marketing to target homeowners that are actively searching the web for jobs in our customers' trades, right? So we're really focused on those 4 trades. They're coming through our quote forms live in real time. They want to talk to contractors about getting a quote on their house, verify they own the home, and then we are pushing those to you directly, into your CRM, or if you have kind of a better, quicker, even more efficient route to your sales team, we can come up with custom deliveries for that too. And then we've got what we think is the best in class account management team in the game, right? So those guys are kind of lead gen and sales savants, and will work with you to really understand your lead funnel. They've got national data coming back to them, and can kind of pick out where you might be underperforming at any given stage in that funnel. And then also can kind of shape the different campaigns we're using to drive you leads to give you more of what's performing well for you, and not focus on what's not. And with that, I will turn it over to James.
Cool, you guys. I'm going to go through the last couple tactics that we're going to talk about today. Again, some of these are going to come across as the whole Captain Obvious, but at the same time, really just look introspectively at yourself and say, what can I do better? It's not, am I good? It's what can I do better always. That's really the mark of a company that's evolving and booming. So first one we're going to look at is the customer experience. Again, we alluded to this a little bit earlier in terms of defining your digital presence to give them an understanding of what's going to come, to get those referrals, all that. Well, guess what? You're going to get really shitty referrals, and they're not going to have a very good customer experience if you don't invest in it. And a lot of that comes down to how do you make sure that the end-to-end process from the point at which you generate a lead or that person comes to your website, they know who you are as a company from beginning to end, and there's no deviation. If there is, and they feel like, oh, I had a great experience through the call center, but then when that guy got to my house, it was just painstaking to get the estimate. They wouldn't leave. They were really bullish. That's not what people want. We've actually done another couple webinars with Modernize specifically where they went out and researched the consumer, the consumer's perspective to understand what they want. Really make sure that you know what that is. They want transparency. They want to be taught and educated. They want to know what's going on at any given time, and they don't want to do it on paper. All right. They also want security and comfort that you're that person that's not going to screw them over. All of this goes to that last bullet point that you see on the slide where it says some of the research that's out there, people don't give a crap if the majority of brands they interact with vanish tomorrow. Why? Because there's another one out there that's going to fill its place. If my jeans right now, if these people stop making jeans, guess what? I'm going to go get another pair of jeans. Don't be that with a home improvement company. Make it so that if they have anything that comes up, or if that even comes up in conversation with their friends, you'd be stupid if you didn't go with them. That's what you want. All right, we can keep going. Anything you want to add to that one?
Yeah, no, I mean, I would just pile on, with your jeans example. You go out, you buy jeans, maybe they cost $50, maybe they cost $100. They don't work out, you go buy another pair of jeans. The brand, the customer experience, that reputation is so much more important in these home services industries because, again, the dollar figures are much higher, and it's a very personal relationship, right? You may have this person in your home for however long. So once you find one that gives you that great customer experience, the legs on that are huge, right? You're going to come back to them if you can for whatever else you have to have done. And that's just essentially, CX is essentially free marketing.
Exactly. And the other thing, you guys, is you are that person. Like, you are the catalyst that makes their dream a reality. Like, you're the one they're trusting one of their biggest investments and assets, aside from maybe their kids. But they're trusting you more than anything to make that a reality. All right. The next one, and this is a perfect segue into this, is, we're going to continue with that jeans theme. People want security and privacy. And where I'm going with the whole jeans thing is, say you walk into Nordstrom, all right, and you're like, I need a new pair of pants. You get to that counter, and they look at you and they go, okay, cool, great. Boop, they scan the barcode and they go, all right, that's going to be $100, or hey, that's going to be $75 for those jeans, or the majority of contractors that we interact with, they're like, yeah, no, that's going to be $175 for those pants. Well, guess what? they're not asking for your credit card on a piece of paper. You know, they're not going to say, all right, cool. Well, hey, I'm going to go over the loudspeaker and I'm going to put your credit card on the loudspeaker, because that's basically what you do in some of these situations is you put their data at risk if you're not doing it in a way that's compliant. All right. The crazy thing is the majority of companies that we deal with are still doing it on paper. You know, they're still phoning in a credit card. They're still storing that somewhere, right? What happens if you're driving down the freeway and that credit card number on that credit card authorization form gets sucked out the window at 75 miles an hour on the highway? Oops, what do? You know, the percentage that something bad's gonna come of that is probably pretty low. But at the same time, if one thing happens, that's all it takes to potentially put you out of business. I mean, the fines and the penalties are so steep for negligence, and they're going to be getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Everything you do involves some sort of data security as a principal core of that business. If it's not part of yours, that's a real big problem, especially as you look to grow and scale or even survive, period. All right. And the other thing you have to ask yourself is, what happens when you use something like an Apple Card, right? There's no number on an Apple Card. All right. So when you look at where everything is going, and it's going in a very quick progression, like visas, you look at the front of a visa, they don't even raise the numbers anymore. It's all printed on the back. So there's a huge shift happening in this data security era that if you're not protecting that within your customer base, that is going to negatively impact their customer experience. They could have the best sales experience, period. But when it comes to pay for that, they instantly look at you like a clown. So again, if that's what you're looking to do and that's something you're looking to get better at, let us know. We have an internal product that makes you level 1 PCI compliant overnight. It's that simple. So we can keep rocking. Anything you want to add on that one, Tanner?
No, I've got nothing. I would just second everything that you brought up there. Going as digital as possible, as quickly as possible, is the way to go. And there are solutions out there that are kind of turnkey for contractors. Then I would advise them to use them.
Exactly. So mic drop. The next is just going to be, and I think this is our last one, is just going to be make your decisions all data driven. All right. The numbers don't lie. You look at every tool that you use. You know, you work with a Modernize. They give you ridiculous amount of data. Like their reporting sets are some of the coolest we've ever seen. That's one of the reasons why we partnered with them in the first place. You have a CRM. Great. CRMs are a wealth of knowledge if you can get the data back in them. The major question you have to ask yourself is, am I making data-driven decisions because I have the data of what's happening in the field? If you don't, there's a huge element of your business, arguably the core of your business, that is completely operating in the dark. So if you can't understand what happens on every one of your interactions because you have the data logs to see everything a salesperson does within the home, if the only way that you can get that is by shadowing someone and standing awkwardly 3 feet behind them, you're not making data-driven decisions. You're also not making scalable decisions. So again, going back to what this means, be smart. Data doesn't lie, people do. All right? You got to make sure you have the tools in place to be able to track that lead and everything that happens to it from the point you get it, either from Modernize or from your other digital sources, et cetera, or even from traditional. Doesn't matter. If that person comes to your site, you need to know what happens from that point of contact all the way through install. If you don't, you have no idea what's going on with your lead funnel. And I truly mean it in that dramatic of a fashion. You are operating blind. So anyway, Tanner, I know you guys are big data geeks like me. Anything you want to add on that one?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, you know, put in place the decision steps that are important in your process, right? Measure from kind of input of each lead source, preferably down to the campaign level, right? Go as granular as you can. And then feedback in as many success metrics as you can, right? So closed deal is good, revenue is better, and then start tracking the ROI. Otherwise, I don't know, how anyone really determines how to spend their marketing budget. It's something that we almost act as a consulting partner for our clients on this very function, right? So if they're not already doing this in their CRM, we coach them to do it. We coach them to do it with all their lead sources, not just modernize leads, and then kind of let the best marketing channel get more investment. And that's really how everyone should be doing it to optimize that spend.
Very cool. Awesome. So last little bit, you guys, we talked about this earlier. It's that customer experience from end to end. If you haven't seen this slide, it's something we use quite frequently, but at the same time, it's arguably one of the most telling in how you run your businesses. All right, if you close 100 sales, 57 of those are going to be because you had really good leads. The rest of them, which is almost half, is because you have a really good process. All right, one of those numbers you can affect a lot easier than the other, and it sure as hell isn't the 57%. So when you ask yourself the question of what can I do in 2020 to make my company that much more badass, you can hunt all day long for the better leads, but at the same time, they're just going to get more and more expensive. Your ROI is going to go down, and your cost per lead is going to go up. You can do that. Companies like Modernize are really good to partner with because they can help you on that front. The other side of it is you really, truly need to understand that 43% is one that you can affect overnight. It doesn't cost a lot of money, if any. Use some of the tactics that we threw at you today, and honestly, you can boost that quite a bit. This is an average. My suggestion and recommendation to you is don't strive for 57 and 43. It should be as 50-50, if not skewed toward your sales process as possible. You should confidently know that the people you put in the field to run the leads that you've entrusted to your sales reps. And if you don't think that way, there's a problem. You got to really look at it and say, anything that I give a sales rep is a gift. It's not because, I owe them anything. It's I paid a shitload of money to get a hold of this lead, and I'm entrusting it to somebody to go run and close. I'm not entrusting it to them to maybe close. So control absolutely every element of that sales funnel that you can. And the only way to do that is to have the data to do so and to give yourself the customer or give your customers the best experience possible. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, knowing what else is out there in the space, there's not a soul in our market that can do what we do. And there's not a soul or company that's going to provide a better experience than someone using Leap. If you go up against a company using Leap and you're not, good chance I'll put my money on you losing. So we can keep rocking on this one. I'll tell everybody a little bit about who we are and what we do. If you're not familiar with us, again, I highly recommend take 30 minutes out of your day and just talk to us. All right? The worst that could happen is you think we're total idiots and you just lose 30 minutes. That's fine. You'll get it back and you'll do cooler things later that day. But I promise you, if this is something you've never seen, it's going to blow your mind. Really, what we do is once that lead is generated, you get that appointment scheduled, it goes seamlessly into Leap, giving your salespeople the tools to do anything and everything they need to in the field to close that deal. You can do digital estimates. We integrate with satellite imaging like Hover and Eagle View. We go all the way through proposals, contracts. We integrate with financing. So you can get financing approvals in the home. The other thing is you can take this all the way through a digital contract, whether you get that person to sign in the home on the spot with their finger. All of this is on an iPad. They can do that. If you get a one-legger appointment and you only have a husband, not the wife, or vice versa, guess what? They can sign it on site, and we also integrate with DocuSign so you can send it out for the rest of that family to sign at their leisure in their home. All right, same thing with Rehash. You call up somebody, run them a deal. Hey, I'll send you a contract. Boom. You can send it all remotely from your home office using DocuSign. So again, when you look at what this tool does, it also empowers your production teams to access any digital details of what happened in that sales experience, photos, documents, notes, you name it, are in the palm of their hand to make that install just as pleasant and wonderful as that sales call. So again, you ask us who we are and what we do. We are the only company out there who does all of these things, and no internet is required because it's all natively built into an iPad. All of our competitors are web-based. You go into that, even if it is the less than 10%, whatever, you lose one deal. That's money out of your pocket. That goes back to that whole 5743. Everything that you can or that you need to do in a home can be done without connectivity whatsoever. It's pretty badass. So let's open it up. I know we were going to do a little bit of Q&A. Again, we'd love to help any one of you guys with whatever you need, even if it doesn't relate directly to our organizations. That's why we're here. That's why we hold the titles that we do. We are subject matter experts in this. So by all means, if anyone has any questions whatsoever, feel free to drop those in. We'll wait a couple seconds. In the meantime, we can also start talking a little bit about the next slide, which is really that incentive if anyone wants to jump on either one of our organizations, whether it be Modernize or whether it be Leap. Again, we're here to help, and we'll put our money where our mouth is.
Absolutely, yeah. So we've got for Modernize 10% off our Leads products. So we've got the URL for you to go to there and kind of automatically apply that promotion. And then Leap's offering a waived onboarding fee, which is usually $2,500. So huge value there.
Yeah, you guys, it's January. It's 2020. If there's any time to, pun intended, take the leap, as cheesy as that sounds, it's now. It's half the country still frozen solid. You know, a couple of folks on this on the webinar even said it was like 20 degrees at their home. Well, guess what? There's not a whole lot of stuff being done at that time because it's freaking cold outside. No one's gonna, not no one, but a lot of people wait until it gets a little bit warmer. So again, if you want to talk about the absolute best time to do anything like this, again, normally we charge $2,500 for training and onboarding. We'll waive it. Again, we'll put our money where our mouth is. You want us to take it and make this as no liability and no risk for you, do it in January. Get a demo. Keep it going. Looks like we got a couple questions thrown in here as well. Yeah. So one of them, Tanner, is for you guys. It's how can we learn more about pricing for getting leads from you or your company?
Sure. Yeah, you can talk to one of our salespeople. So our pricing varies by kind of trade, geography, volume, a few other factors. So we will walk through kind of that whole checklist with you and get pricing for you. If you kind of just go to our web form as we've listed there on the promotions page.
Got it. And then a couple other questions that just popped in. We have what CRM is best suited for Leap and Modernize. You guys, really honestly, we both integrate with a number of different CRMs, and it boils down to the size of your organization, the automation needs that you have. You know, we integrate with a lot of the industry professionals. So the like Market Sharps, the Lead Perfections, the Improve It 360s of the world, the Job Nimbuses, all of those are amazing industry specific CRMs. We also integrate with Salesforce, which is like the behemoth and the juggernaut of them all. So if you want to get real crazy with things, you can go with someone like that. Or again, there's a lot of really beautiful purpose-built systems that function incredibly well to not only manage your leads that integrate directly with Modernize, but also integrate directly with Leap. And then on top of that, they're purposefully built to manage your lead flow as if you were a home improvement company, your call center to your in-home sales, all the way through managing your production and orders, etc. So again, there's a ton of them. We'd be happy. Just feel free. We're going to be reaching out to everyone in this. Does HubSpot work? Yeah. So Robert, you just asked about HubSpot. HubSpot is one of those that's pretty open source. The cool thing with Leap, and Tanner, you can answer back on the HubSpot for Modernize, but for Leap, it doesn't matter what you use. We can integrate with your calendar. So again, if you're not using a CRM, you can use Leap.
Same for us. So we integrate, as I said, with tons of CRMs. I honestly haven't seen a lot of the contractor space on HubSpot for kind of non industry specific CRMs. We probably see a little more of other providers like a Zoho or Salesforce, but that's not to say it couldn't work in the contracting space. Yeah, we've got hundreds of integrations with CRMs, so we are kind of agnostic in that respect.
Cool. We got another question from Gary that says, thanks for the info. What's the main difference between Leap and Modernize in a nutshell? Easiest way to describe that, Modernize is a provider of leads for your business. Leap is the tool that converts them. How's that?
That's great.
Yep. So that's the easiest way to describe it. Again, Leap is the tool that's going to be in the hands of your sales reps when they go in the home. That's how they work up their estimates. That's how they work up their proposals. You can secure financing on site with our integrated lenders so you can get approval while in the home. The other thing you can do too is you can capture payments. So if you want to get a credit card or a check, great. You can do all that stuff digitally. 100% PCI compliant level 1, which is the same as a company processing like 50 million plus in credit cards annually. You guys can have the same level of security, which is a selling point against your competitors. And then on top of that, everything that you do within Leap feeds back to your CRM. So you want to talk about the absolute most, call it no-brainer decision to get your business to that place. It's just above and beyond. Use both. Giovanna says, when it comes to sending contracts, our company is hesitant because oftentimes they will want an estimate via email, and oftentimes they will go to another company that could be a competitor. You have to trust that your experience with that customer is going to be so above and beyond that even if they do, the second they go to one of your competitors, by all means, good for them. They're going to feel dirty because it's not going to compare to what you had to offer. That's where that transparency, that education, that patience, and really that level of empathy and compassion, it's a big freaking decision to do anything in your home. You make it painless, they will like it. You don't have to worry about losing it to a customer, or excuse me, to a competitor.
I would also add on to that, for every deal you feel like you are losing by sending out a contract, I would argue that you're probably losing more by not doing so, right? So how does that, kind of not giving the customer the experience they're looking for and want, and being really clear in your communication, how does that affect your close rate? And I'd say the hit there is probably much bigger than any kind of coaching you're going to get from sending it out. Got one from Brian, who's asking, a lot of contractors don't advertise promotions. How often should they be offering promotions to stay active and top of mind for potential customers? And I think the answer probably varies a little bit by kind of the trade you're in, maybe, of course, local market specifics. But I would say in general, you might want to go with the approach of kind of having two different tiers or types of promotions, right? And so we talked a little bit in the presentation about customers always wanting to feel like they got the best deal, not necessarily the lowest price. And so if you can work into your marketing funnel a kind of always on promotion that is going to, strike people right off the bat as a really good deal, right? So whatever it is, X% off a price that's a little bit higher maybe than your competitors, but that they now get it at the same price or lower. And then, I would use kind of other promotions, one-off promotions, more seasonally as you need to either, drive more volume to your sales team that when they're in a lower volume season, or as you find you need to kind of just compete in the space. And then, using those kind of more spaced out as well to attract the buyers who are those marginal buyers and are really price sensitive. You can kind of pick up a lot of those guys once a quarter or so, and then collect the extra margin from buyers who are less price sensitive throughout most of the year. Anything to add there, James?
No, I would agree. Again, when it comes down to that confidence that if the lead comes in, you're going to close it, you can't hurt yourself by opening the spigot and getting more people to bite because of an incentive. I wouldn't shy away from it. It's something that customers are conditioned to. It's something they're used to, and it's almost something that they expect. So I would definitely not shy away from it whatsoever. We don't. So the other one, we got one from Leslie. Does Leap do all or some of the things that can be done with Infusionsoft? One of the things that I will say with something like an Infusionsoft, it's I would firmly state that some of the things that they try and do can't be done, or excuse me, can't be done because it's what we specialize in. Again, I think there are definite limitations with something like an Infusionsoft, specifically because a lot of it is web-based. You go into a home that's in a basement, great, good luck getting service. If you came to my house and asked me for my Wi-Fi password, I would tell you to go pound sand. Again, it's something that might not happen every time, but a slight lag, like, go to a website and see what happens with your own personal emotions once you go to a website and it doesn't load immediately or instantaneously. You get annoyed, you get irritated. Same thing's going to happen if there's any sort of hiccup in that online or that in-person experience. And really when you look at all the different functions whatsoever, like, again, we are a sales and contracts tool, right? We're not a CRM. We are not a lot of those other components because it's not what we specialize in. And vice versa, we partner with a lot of CRMs, et cetera, because they don't do what we do very well. They do it, but it's not very good. So again, I would say, definitely take a look and compare for yourself, but I have the data and can confidently state that we've never lost a customer to Infusionsoft. So, cool. I think we answered pretty much everything. Was there anything that we missed or anything else?
I think so. We're kind of pushing toward the end here of the webinar time slot. Want to be respectful of everyone's time and get them out in time for their 2 p.m. appointments. So we can kind of wrap up here. Thank you guys all for coming out, and especially thanks to our partners Leap. This is the third one of these that we've done, and I think they continue to get better and more informative. We're excited to do more of them.
Absolutely, and thank you to you guys as well. We will be doing more of these throughout the year with different guest speakers, etc. One of the other things to note too is for any of you, I know a couple of you guys reached out and said, hey, get in touch with me. We absolutely will. We'll be reaching out to all the attendees for this and just see what we can do to help. And if it's nothing for the time being, awesome. We're always here to help. Never hesitate to ping us, even if you don't use us. So again, thank you guys for doing this. Hope you all have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you as well. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care, guys.